With Valentine's Day around the corner, I'm going to show you guys how to draw a simple rose. It's just going to be a simple sketch, but maybe it can help you to drawing your rose for maybe a family member or a lover. So I first start with a simple swirl. So then I draw each little petal around the swirl, and at first it doesn't need to be very detailed, but then as I go around the flower, I add a point to the very top of the petal. It's gonna look similar to this. Now you can make yours look a little bit better than this. I'm just showing you a simple sketch, a simple drawing. And then I start adding the big part of the flower, the big petals. So then after this point, you can add lines for each individual petal within the flower, kind of like this. And then when I start adding petals around the flower, just to make it look better so it's not just this big bulb. So here I add more and more little petals around the flower in the front, and then I erase the lines that I already created for the front of the flower until I have what I like. And you can experiment with this. You can basically draw the petals however you want. This is how I draw them. I just make them kind of curl around the flower because in roses they curl in a circular motion. Once I am done drawing the flower, I then draw these little green leaves that are right outside the rose itself. After that, I clean up my sketch marks. I erase and basically clean up here and there, and then I add a few more petals in the back of the rose itself. And then the next part is to color it. I decided to color mine pink. Once I blot down all my pinks and my greens for the leaves, I then decide to shade the inside of the flower. While I'm shading, I usually like to alpha lock that layer so that I don't draw outside of the flower. And then once I'm done shading, I then add the light on the top of the flower petals to make it look like it has a more of a 3D look. I also add shading to the leaves. And then last thing I do is I alpha lock the line art, and then I color the line art with a lighter color so that the black doesn't look too contrasting. And then I also do the same thing with the leaves. I add a green hue to the leaves. The very last thing I do to my flower, and this is just an added bonus, is I then add little droplets to the flower. And I do it in blue. You can do it in different colors. I just decided to do it in blue and whites, and the little droplets along just to make it seem like the flower has a little bit of water on it. And then at the very end, I then add a luminescence, which is the brush in Procreate, and you just basically add a little bit of a shine to the droplets itself. But before I did that, I decided to add a little bit of line art to it, just a simple little circle line art. It's not even supposed to be super pretty or anything. I just like adding line art to my art. It's just a preference. So here you go. I add the luminescence, and voila, here is your rose, guys. Again, this is just a simplistic way to make a rose. You can make it as detailed or clean it up even more than I did. I'm just trying to show you all the basics of drawing a rose.